Hello and welcome. Chris from Missouri here, bringing you another video about vintage baseball cards. This video, I may show you a couple cards, but I just want to do a quick video. See, right now, the Kansas City Royals have made the playoffs, and right now they're playing against the New York Yankees. Now, the Royals consider the Yankees as their biggest rivalry, and that might be forgotten with a bunch of younger collectors and YouTubers because the Yankees have been so good over the course of baseball history that there's a lot of teams that consider them their number one rival. But when I was growing up in the 70s, in the mid 70s to late 70s, my favorite team became the Royals. Now, I was a big Reds fan, and I wasn't just jumping from one team to the other. I went from living and only watching the Cincinnati Reds to moving and watching the Kansas City Royals. And both those teams were great in the 70s. But here's the thing. People forget that the Yankees' biggest rivalry in the late 70s was the Kansas City Royals. See, the Royals won their division in 76, lost to the Yankees in the playoffs. The Royals won their division in 77 and lost to the Yankees. The Royals won in 78 and lost to the Yankees. Finally, in 1980, the Royals beat the Yankees to go on to the World Series. Now, when I think of that time period, I remember complaining all the time that the Yankees couldn't grow their own players. They had to pick up players from the other team. For instance, Chambliss from somebody else, Randolph from somebody else, Greg Nettles they got from somebody else, Mickey Rivers, Reggie Jackson. But the Royals had a great team, and I just despised the Yankees. But when I think of the Yankees during that time period, I think of this guy. And that's Billy Martin. And I think it is a baseball sin to not have Billy Martin in the Hall of Fame, my opinion. Now, just to match up those guys, I'm not doing justice to this video by just talking about it, but these are how good this teams were. Both teams won 100 games a couple different times during that period. The Yankees had the great Thurman Munson as a catcher, another one that I believe should be in the Hall of Fame. The Royals had Darrell Porter, a great catcher, probably one of the top 30 catchers of all time if you look it up and don't know who he is. At first base, Yankees had Chris Chambliss, and that home run that he hit to beat us, a walk-off home run to beat us when the series was tied. At first base, we had John Mayberry, a great first baseman as well during that time. They had Willie Randolph, could possibly be in the Hall of Fame, high WAR. We had Frank White, 8-time Gold Glover. They had at shortstop, and if you want to know what people think about this guy, ask John Keating. But the Yankees had Bucky Dent. We had Freddie Patek at third base. One of my most hated players of all time. And even though my buddy Greg Midlife Cards was named after him, he was named after a villain, but they had Greg Nettles. What a great player. And we had George Brett. Now, in left field, it was kind of different for us. It was who knows who we had in left field. Sometimes, we had Jim Wolford or Joe Zeb or somebody like that. They had Roy White, and Roy White was a great player, but they platooned with Lou Piniella, a former Royal. In center field, I just hated this guy. Watching him, the only time I liked it, watching him run, is when he kind of waddled off after Johnny Bench would throw him out in the World Series a bunch of times. But they had Mickey Rivers. The Royals had a great player named Amos Otis. And in right field, the Yankees had, of course, Reggie Jackson. And the Royals had Al Cowens. Now, at DH, there's a couple of different people from 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 the Yankees. Either, I don't know, Oscar Gamble sometimes, and the Royals had Hal McRae, one of the greatest DHs of all time. But they had a great rivalry, and this time of year is awesome. The Royals are playing against them, and it conjured up those memories. But it also conjured up this memory. I got to go to Yankee Stadium, and I was sitting there. And I was just and this was the older Yankee Stadium, and I was looking at the retired numbers, and I could read them off, and I loved it. And there was an older Yankee guy sitting in front of me, and I know that he could sense my hostility toward the Yankees a little bit, and he, with a calm voice, and I was much younger, but with a calm voice, he said, "Son, you are sitting in the home office of baseball." And I just thought of that, with all the great players that they've had and all the World Series that they have, we need the New York Yankees. We need somebody like that can play the villain to make the series and any time that they're playing more special. And right now I feel honored for the Kansas City Royals that they're playing the New York Yankees. And I'm proud of them for losing 106 games last year to making it to the playoffs and winning the first round and now playing the New York Yankees. Now I wish that the Royals beat the Yankees, and I wish Greg Nettles would stub his toe as he's getting up to change the channel on the TV. But I just, again, I appreciate the success of the Yankees, and I love this time of year. And thanks for listening to me ramble. But again, if I'm going to title this, I'm going to title it "The Damn Yankees" and "Let's Go Royals." And remember, guys, it's just a hobby. Collect what you like.